Before I start, remember that we aren't doing good financially. So my husband bought his young teen daughter a bike. It was about $200. My tween daughter secretly liked it and asked if she could get a few rounds with it. My stepdaughter said no, which was understandable, seeing how obsessed she was with it the first couple of weeks. After that, my daughter asked again but was told no, even though we tried to compromise on time. It was frustrating for my daughter, especially when she saw the bike. Fast forward a week later, stepdaughter no longer rides the bike as often. Most of the time it just lies in the garage. The other day my daughter called me crying. I freaked out and had to go home because I couldn't understand what she was saying. I got home and found my daughter on the porch crying. My husband was inside watching TV. I asked her what happened, and she told me she had asked her stepsister to let her play with the bike, but she refused. When my daughter pointed out how the bike was lying in the garage with no use, her stepsister shouted at her, saying she'd rather throw the bike in the ocean and let it rust than let her ride it. My daughter started crying, which made my husband call her an entitled brat and punish her for persisting. I was fuming. I confronted him, and he casually said, "My daughter should not have to feel like she has to share what she has with anyone. It's her bike. And if my daughter's name wants a bike so bad and you think she deserves it, then you can go ahead and get her one." I said, "Damn right I can, and I will." So I took the money I saved up to buy him a gift, a watch for his upcoming birthday, bought a new bike for my daughter, and let her pick the color. Not gonna lie, after seeing her sad for weeks, I felt happy for her. My husband and stepdaughter just watched, but when my husband asked where I got the money and knew it was his birthday gift money, he flipped out. He yelled, saying I shouldn't have touched his gift money, and said that I promised him and he had already told his friends about the watch. I told him about how he let his daughter treat mine and encouraged the attitude she had about the bike. He got more upset, saying I was punishing his daughter through him and that by my omission, he'd done nothing wrong other than get his daughter a bike. I said I no longer wanted to argue, but he never stopped scolding me. He even went as far as to say that I stole the watch money and threatened to exclude me from his birthday. I spent $200 on my daughter's bike, and only $50 was left from the watch savings. Not the idiot. LOL at your husband flipping his crap. Who's an entitled brat now? Gift ideas are great, but we're not entitled to buy anyone a certain gift just because they want it. Sorry, husband. My gift budget was drastically reduced by a family emergency. I think OP still needs to gift her husband a watch, a kid's watch, because that's what he deserved. This is just one instance of how OP's daughter has to live with people who treat her poorly. It's normal for siblings to argue and not get along, but not normal for the dad figure to condone it. More like divorce papers, if this is typical of how he behaves. That was your money to save, spend, or toss in the ocean. You took his daughter's attitude, and his by proxy, and demonstrated its consequences. If he chooses to exclude you from any birthday celebrations, that'll show your value in his life. I hope you'll believe him when he shows you and act accordingly. You are the idiot, because stepsister doesn't have to share her bike. I don't have to share my car, even though I don't drive it for days at a time sometimes. Would you tell me that I have to share it with a neighbor that doesn't have a car because I'm not driving it? And you're letting kiddo keep asking after sis said no. That wasn't okay. You're teaching her that once someone says no, persistence is okay. Teach her to accept no as an answer. Everyone's the idiot. You all are not functioning like a cohesive blended family. Your stepdaughter's not obligated to share her things. Your daughter must learn she's not entitled to other people's things, no matter how much she wants them. Realistically, the two of you should have sat down and spoken about this before he ever made the purchase, especially since anyone with half a brain could see the outcome of one kid getting slighted. Seriously, how did he not foresee this issue? The fact that your husband feels no fatherly connection to your daughter and is calling her names is like 20K red flags in one. Also, he made his bed, and now he gets to lie in it. I find it very ironic he calls your daughter entitled, and then turns around and acts as he did. Ultimately, he is the idiot, but you're also the idiot for keeping that idiot around your daughter. I do not understand this thing where people look down on encouraging kids to share. Should stepsis let OP's daughter ride her bike whenever she wants? No. Should stepsis let her ride a bike that hasn't been touched in weeks because it's the kind thing to do for a sibling? Yes. This is why America's such a mess. You all are being brought up to be selfish, entitled idiots who, when confronted with the horrifying prospect of sharing and kindness, lose your damn minds and call it entitlement. This is why you have to pay thousands for health care, have no social support structures, etc., because the thought of sharing and helping others brings you all out in hives. I feel like so many in our family are divided that I don't know who's wrong or right. For context, my wife Lacey, 32, and I, 37 male, have been trying to conceive since she was in her late 20s, and I in my early 30s. My wife had a very hard time conceiving, and I feel blessed that she wanted to continue trying despite her struggles, and I'm happy to say that we have a baby on the way. Now on to the rest. My sister's wedding shower was last Sunday. The night before, my wife said she was feeling uncomfortable, but we just thought it was normal pregnancy pains. So I told her if she wasn't up for the wedding shower, I could go alone so that she could rest. Until about 5 in the morning when she wakes me up screaming. I immediately get my stuff, get my wife in the car, and floor it to the hospital. I phoned my parents and sister, both not picking up due to the time, so I left them a voicemail and text, saying if my wife had a serious problem, I wasn't attending. A couple of hours go by and I informed them that I'm staying with my wife while tests are being run, because she shouldn't go through that alone. Ever since then, I've gotten a flurry of texts calling me an idiot and other names I won't repeat, and some family completely cutting me off. I stand by my decision that my wife's comfort is most important, even if it makes me a bad guy. But I must ask, am I the idiot? Imagine you'd gone to the shower alone. Where's Lacey? Oh, she's in the hospital. She woke up screaming at 5 a.m., so I left her there alone and came to the party. This is the only scenario that would make you an idiot. The family who are cutting you off? Goodbye and good riddance. Your wife, and your unborn's baby health are literally all that matters. Not the idiot, and I hope everything's okay. In no situation is a family event more important than a medical emergency. Even if it was the wedding day, staying with your wife would be more important. The fact that they're this mad over missing a wedding shower makes the whole situation even more ridiculous. If I found out that someone attended my wedding or wedding event instead of going to the hospital to be with a loved one, I'd be really put off. By the way, what's a wedding shower anyway? Another way to wrangle gifts out of people? Basically a bridal shower, but celebrating the couple instead of the bride. My cousin, big Greek family, made an engagement party, a bridal shower, a hen's night, and a kitchen tea. Whatever the heck that is. Crap was insane, dude. OP, your family is beyond belief. I hope your wife and bubs are okay. My partner and I got married about 2 years ago, and we found out we were having a baby the same year. As we're both over 40, she was very welcome, as my partner has 3 children from a previous marriage. The issues come now. My daughter's really learning to speak, and I speak to her only in my native language. I moved to our current country, where my partner and stepkids are native speakers, both here, so I speak both my home language and theirs fluently. But I want my daughter to be able to talk to her family, who only speak my native language, when we go back to my home country. I also want to keep that part of her heritage alive, since she won't be as connected to it as the other half growing up here. My stepkids, tween, pre-tween, toddler, feeling threatened by the new baby and her place in their life, have begun to have a problem with this. My partner is also sensitive to it and the distress of the other children. They feel like I should also be teaching them my native language and not have something special with just my biological daughter. I disagree. My reasons are this. I'm not teaching my daughter the language, she's acquiring it. It's a different mechanism for learning a language. We don't sit down and have lessons. She just learns as I speak to her daily and do the occasional baby flashcards. I don't think I have the skills to teach a language. I'm not great at teaching anyway, and I'd have to do some learning myself. I'm a parent to 4 kids now. between homework, after-school clubs, and the children's other lessons. I just don't know when we would have the time. This is on top of my own work and the fact that the little ones require more attention. And this is maybe where I am the idiot. I think the other kids will have to eventually learn that some things will be special between my biological daughter and me. They have 3 parents when she just has my partner and me. Her connection to my family back home will always be stronger, and I think having just some time with me alone is fine as well. I offered to find a class for the children to take to learn the language and help them with their homework and talk to them at home, but they refused. They feel like it's unfair that I'm unwilling to share this part of myself with them. Why don't I care if they can speak to my family? Why didn't I teach them or find a class before the baby was born? Still, I honestly didn't think they were interested. My native language is not nearly as useful as theirs. They would only be using it to communicate with my family and me. It's become a real issue in my house because I refuse to stop speaking to my daughter this way and refuse to start giving language lessons when a professional could do it instead. My partner hasn't gotten to the point of demanding that I stop speaking to my daughter yet, but there is tension. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You're correct that a baby acquiring a language and older children learning a language are different things. You've suggested a good option, which they refuse to take. If the older kids pick some things up from hearing you speak, great, but lessons from you should not be demanded. Don't let your partner dissuade you from your plans. OP's the idiot. I'd be flattered that they want to learn my native language. I feel that OP is gatekeeping the language as a way of creating a special bond with her child, more than it being a teaching the kids the language. Kids get bored and will eventually quit nagging to learn if they try. Agree. I think she's the idiot. She doesn't need to sit down and do formal lessons with the other kids because it's not about them wanting to learn the language. It's them feeling left out and less than, with a baby that belongs to both of the adults in the house, getting special treatment over the stepkids. That's an understandable feeling. And her being like, no, but I'll get you guys some classes, reinforces that feeling of being left out and less than. Honestly, this is just giving me my real kid vibes, which suck. She obviously doesn't love all those kids the same, and it seems like growing up in a house where one of your parental figures has a clear favorite would absolutely suck and be traumatic. She's a double idiot. Those poor kids. It's not about the language. They want the connection with OP. They're not threatened by the new baby. They're hungry for love and attention that OP won't give. I, 50 male, let my oldest daughter, 30, and her son, toddler, sleep in my youngest daughter's teen room while she was away for a week. When she came home early, she started freaking out, yelling at me for not asking her beforehand if they could sleep there or not. My oldest daughter brushed it off, as my youngest daughter's always been dramatic, but I felt very disrespected. I told her it wasn't a big deal. We cleaned the bed. My grandson wet the bed and are now washing the sheets. Upon hearing her nephew wet the bed, she freaked out even more, saying she didn't want to sleep on a peed-on bed. I reassured her that we cleaned it and reminded her that I was her father and she needed to watch her tone with me. She kept saying that I should have asked her, that it was her room and that her OCD was giving her an anxiety attack. I told her they probably didn't touch her stuff and she needed to relax. She kept getting angry with me and finally went to her room and slammed the door. She hasn't spoken to me since last night. I really don't think it's a big deal. Yeah, they could have slept on the couch and my grandson could have slept in a pack and play, but I wanted them to be comfortable and my youngest was gone for a week. So, am I the idiot for letting my daughter sleep in my other daughter's room? Edit. She is diagnosed with OCD, but that's not an excuse to raise her voice at me and use disrespectful language. My oldest went back to her house once my youngest got home. You are the idiot. There's no cleaning a bed that was peed in unless there was already a waterproof mattress protector. They probably didn't touch her stuff. You're her dad, but your daughter has a right to her stuff in her own space. The fact that she's temporarily not in the house doesn't change that. You used your space and bed for a child who wasn't potty trained at night without informing her. Info, did you put down a mattress protector? If not, how did you clean the mattress? I don't think airing it out counts. You then discounted her opinion and denied her the right to own her emotions. I would be upset if this happened to me, and I'm over 30. She's just a dramatic child, and it's his house? What a loser. It's so ironic that OP thinks he deserves respect after completely disrespecting his daughter's boundaries, privacy, and valid feelings. Yikes. It's no big deal? Then why didn't you offer them your room? Oh, wait, because you value your privacy and you didn't want them touching your things. Big time idiot, and you owe your daughter a new bed. You air quoted OCD. You're downplaying how stressed your daughter actually feels. You're not helping her by teaching her to manage her anxiety. You're more concerned about her apparent disrespect towards you than the fact that she's feeling anxious from a condition she'll have to deal with for the rest of her life. My workplace doesn't have a dress code, so everyone dresses very casually. Today I wore a top with thin straps and long pants, and my shoulders were showing. One of my coworkers, Brian, was giving me angry looks all day, and when I finally asked him what was wrong, he told me that he thought better of me than to dress in barely any clothes to work. At that moment, Brian was wearing pretty short shorts and was barefoot. He dressed like this the whole summer. The office is carpeted, and he only puts on his slippers if he goes to the bathroom or the kitchen. I told Brian that I would start covering up my shoulders when he started wearing shoes to the office. Then if I have to watch his hairy toes at work, he can deal with the sight of my shoulders. That, of course, didn't help. He put on his headphones and didn't even look in my direction for the rest of the workday. Now I'm wondering if I was wrong to say that. He is a coworker, and I should strive for good work relationships. But I felt insulted, so I kicked back at him. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. That was a funny response to his attempt at shaming you for, gasp, having shoulders. Also, who goes barefoot at the office but acts like a child about a tank top? Grow up, Brian. Showing shoulders isn't a big deal. If there's no dress code, dress appropriately for yourself. I can't believe he would be complaining of shoulders. It's not like your boobs are hanging out and your nipples are almost showing, or wearing a short skirt showing off your woohoo. He's the idiot. You should go to HR. That's harassment. That, of course, didn't help. He put on his headphones and didn't even look in my direction the rest of the workday. No, it did help. His doing so and silence states Brian needs to have a fresh cup of shut up before he turns on the proverbial neon hypocrite sign, pointing out his double standard views. Hopefully he thinks twice the next time. Not the idiot. Good on you, and go to HR.